On behalf of the IFC Council, today we've had a very fruitful gathering and sharing with our CS of Interior, CS Fred Matiang'i, and the team from the Ministry of Health. As you know, the IFC, that is the Interfaith Council, is there to try and regulate and moderate, helping as far as possible to minimize the risk of transmission of the virus within the places of worship. As you know, we have prepared guidelines to that effect, guidelines which were prepared in conjunction with Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Interior, and ours is generally to try and make sure that these guidelines really assist so that within those gatherings, which are necessary and at the same time very important, doesn't become an opening for, God forbid, the loss of life from among our congregants. We have had this discussion because we know what has happened in the western part of our country, where the COVID cases have risen drastically, and we take reconnaissance to many reactions and feelings of many religious leaders, especially in this area, in this region, due to the necessary measures of restriction that were given and issued by the government during this time. We have had discussions so that some of those issues we may have a moment to review how effective they are, and at the same time give great respect to that right and unnecessary support and avenue of hope for our people, that is worship and the possibility of worshiping even as gathered congregations. I believe that we have made a lot of headway, and we asking first and foremost that our religious leaders be still at the front line in terms of the fight of COVID, in ensuring, encouraging, helping all our people and in our congregations to follow those measures that we all know are given to us by the Ministry of Health and also in our places of worship. At the same time, we take into account those statements and feelings of many of the religious leaders, especially in terms of helping our political leadership and others, so that at the same time we're working together, even in terms of business, even in terms of for the good of our country, development. Let us have as a first concern the lives of our Kenyans. And so it is something that has been raised by many of the religious leaders in that region, and we have discussed and seen how we can integrate it as we look forward into how we review some of those measures in a way that is both going to address the issue of containing any spread, as Dr. Mwangangi has just said, and at the same time without undue restriction to the worship and the possibility of worship in these areas. I would like to end by saying, remember that COVID is not something we wish upon ourselves. It is something that has come upon us, and sometimes we are going to do things that are not comfortable. But in so doing, once more today, we have reinforced the idea that this will be in coordination and taking into account very much the central role that the religious leaders and the faith groups have within not only fighting COVID, but within helping our communities to live up to much greater standards, both in terms of relation, both in terms of respect, and also in terms of citizenry, because that is what religion also brings through the interaction with our people. So we ask our religious leaders patiently to continue following these measures that have been given as we look into what we are able to accommodate. And as we all know, there is always the line of the live streaming, which continues in this time with the 15 that we've always had accepted in that live streaming. And in this context, we are very in the times we are trying to still reach with creative ways all our congregants. We thank you and we urge you still. Let us really put all the measures necessary to fight COVID. God bless you.